This one will be so amazing. We are going to add multiple Firebase projects into our SwiftUI application, which is insane. By the way, if you'd like to meet me on a one-on-one Zoom call, maybe you want to learn SwiftUI or you have some issues with your Swift project, iOS project, then check out rebeloper.com/mentoring. The link is down in the description. So today we are going to build one project and we are going to link it to multiple, actually two Firebase projects. So let's just get started. Let me just create a brand new Xcode project. Let's create new, next, and yeah, let me just rephrase this. So multiple Firebase projects, yeah, that would be fine. And let's click on next over here. Let's drop it onto the desktop. Perfect. Okay, so let me just make this a little bit larger. So what we are going to do is basically create one project as the default project and the other as the secondary project or number two or development or staging. You could use this in many cases. I like to use them for development. You know, I don't want to mix the production let's say Firestore database with the development part. So I use this technique and it's really powerful. So first up, let's create our Firebase project. Let me just go to Firebase. And by the way, nice new logo. Let's go to console. Let's click on plus. Let me just paste that bundle identifier in there and remove the unnecessary stuff. Let's continue. I will uncheck Google Analytics, but this will actually work with Google Analytics really well if you choose to use that. This is just for a simple tutorial, so that's right. Okay, so we are going to prepare actually two of these Firebase projects. This is going to be the first one, and as you can see, I am copy and pasting the same bundle ID for both of the projects because we are linking to one Xcode project. So let's continue. Let's add an iOS project real quickly. Let's paste that in there. Register the app. Let's just wait for this. Let's download the Google Service Info plist file. There we go. As usual, let's just add that into our project. Let's finish and let's remove the appended number over there. Let's continue. So let's click on next. Let's add the Firebase iOS SDK. Real quickly, this is usual stuff. Most probably you already know this. We are going to add actually only the Firestore SDK right now, but this will actually work with authentications, storage functions, all of the products that Firebase has. So let's just wait for this. This might take a few seconds. And till then, let me just, well, yeah, we have to move forward. We have to actually create our project. So let me just scroll down here and select Firestore. And for ease of use, I'm just going to add in also the Swift version, well, the Swift package too. Okay, so that's one thing. And now let's just see what else do we need to do. Basically, we need to configure. Let's click on next over here. Let's create an app delegate. Let me just add that as a new file. Next, app delegate. Let's create it. Let's go back. Let's copy out all of this part and paste it in there. And yeah, I like to identity stuff. So we have Firebase app configure. This is really important. We are going to talk about that in just a second. when we are creating multiple projects, copy it out that app delegate adapter and paste it into the app file as it should be. And now let's click on next and continue to console. Now what I'm going to do, because we are going to have an actual example right over here, I'm going to add the enable the Firestore database. Let me just wait for that. And for the rules, I'm just going to basically set up 30 days from now, we may request to this database, but yeah, you will be able to just change this later on if you wish to. For the tutorial's sake, this is perfect. Okay, now it's provisioning the Cloud Firestore, and yes, it should be ready. There we go. Basically, that's it. Now, if we run our project, let me just do that. If we run our project right now, we should be ready. So everything should work fine. The Google Service info plist file will give the data that our configure function does for the Firebase app, and it will just basically link to our Firebase project. It's as simple as that. Let me just move this a little bit over here, and not now. Hello world. Everything works as expected. Great. So now what I want to do is basically create a little bit of function right over here. So let's have maybe a button with a title of save, and the action would be save, a function that I'm going to create, func save, and I just want to save an item. So for that, let's create a new file, a simple model for the item, and let's add a struct called item. It has to be codable because I want to use the Firestore functions to easily code and encode and decode this item. And let's have maybe a value, so value over there, and this could be of type string. And let's have this custom initializer where I don't really want to add a value, so I'm just going to add here a random UUID string. So UUID string. So whenever I'm just going to initialize this, it's just going to give a random UUID string. So I can use this really, really fast. So let's create our item over here. That is an item. And now we want to actually store it on Firestore. So let's import Firebase Firestore. And then what we can do is just create a reference. So well, I'm just going to go without the reference. I'm just going to go with a one-liner. So collection, the path of items, and let's have a document right over here with a UID, a random UID, and I would say set data from and an encodable, and that is an item. And yeah, basically that's it. We want to add try over here. Try. I don't really care about the errors right now. Please make sure that you do catch all of these inside a do catch statement. And that would be it. So let's build and run one more time. And hopefully we are actually going to have an item saved in our database. So yeah, this will take a little bit of time to adjust, but yeah, it's just built it already. Let's click on save, and then let's jump back to our database. Let's refresh, and fingers crossed, everything should work okay. We have the items, we have a new UID and the value of that UUID string, which is great. Okay, so now it's time to add another project. You know, maybe this would be our production project. Let's just have, or maybe the dev one, whatever you feel like it. There could be multiple environments, or for multiple reasons that you might choose to have more than one Firebase project for your app. So let's just go back. So multiple Firebase projects. I would just, well, let me just copy out the bundle identifier again. So I have that in hand. By the way, you could just link other projects over here, like other apps too, but this is really well. So multiple Firebase projects, I will just name this 2. So this will be our second one. So let's continue. Let me just disable the Google Analytics because this is just a simple tutorial. And now what we want is basically, again, using our Google Service Info plist file, but a little bit differently, and you will see how. So basically you can't actually add two Google Service Info plist file into your applications. And by the way, if you are using the standard default implementation, then you do need to remain with that name, Google Service Info plist. So let's register this app. It's the same app, by the way, you can just use different ones, but in this particular example, we want to have, let's say, development branch of this project and a production one. So let's download the Google Service Info plist file, and here's what I will do. So let's go back to our Xcode project, and now I'm just going to drag and drop it below the first Google Service Info, and then I'm going to rename these. So you don't want to stick with the original ones because we are going to change them. So the first one would be Google Service Info, and because I named the second one too, let's just have a dash over there and a 1. And then the second one would be -2. Okay, so we have our two Google Service Info plist files added. Let's just see what else do we need right over here. Let's just click through all of these. We added the SDK. Yes, we added the initialization. Well, not really. We still have to figure out how to configure that, but we are going to get there. Let's continue to console, and then let's enable the Firestore database on this one too, on the second project, if I say it like that. Let's create the database and click on next over here, test mode. Let's create that. And yeah, now, of course, if we would build and run our project now, it would just simply crash because we renamed the Google Service Info plist file. And for that, we want to actually go to the simulator and delete, remove the app, multiple Firebase projects. Yes, it's this one. Let's delete that app. Let's delete all of the data. Great. So now that this is kind of a clean starting point, we want to create 2 configurations. Therefore, with those configurations, we will be able to access both of the Firestore databases. Now, I'm just going to add all of this into a separate file, and I'm going to make this really, really super easy for you to use. So let's create a new file right over here. Next, let's name this Firebase Plus. And I'm just going to import Firebase core. Let's also import Firebase Firestore. There we go. So please feel free to import all of the others that you might have inside your application, like auth or storage or functions. It will be the same, the same approach to all of this. Okay, so first, I'm just going to create a simple struct that will hold the Firebase project's name. So struct Firebase project, and it will have a name. Let name of type string. Now, this actually isn't the whole name of the Firebase project. It's the one that we appended onto the Google Service Info plist file. It could be and you will understand all of the code, but this is just a simple one. So Google Service Info dash, and then the Firebase project's name, this struct that I have created. So how can we configure? Now, if we go back right over here and start typing out configure, you will see that there are more than just the simple configure one. There's one with the options, There's also one with the name and options. So we are going to go with the name and options because, we are going to set different names so we can get them when we are accessing Firestore, for example, according to those names, and also the options that are for the separate Google Service Info plist files. Okay, so let's go back to our Firebase Plus function, and I'm going to create an extension for convenience on the Firebase app. Firebase app, and this will be a static function called configure, and basically what we want to do is just configure the project based according to its Firebase project name. So we are going to have here a variadic array. It's really, really powerful, like in how it looks like. So first of all, we are going to have projects, and that is a Firebase project. And instead of having it like this, like an array, let me just go back over here. Instead of having an array, I want to have it a variadic array, meaning that you either add in one or more, which is really, really nice. Okay, let's add a comma over there. And then I want to have the option for you to change the actual names that you want to give to your Google Service Info plist file. So info plist file base name, that will be of type string, and I'm going to give a default value which I prefer. Let me just copy it out from here, and it is this one. Let me just well, if I could hover over there we go. Okay, let's go back over here, and as you can see, it's Google Service Info because I just want the Firebase project name to be 1 or 2. This is, kind of my preference. You can do anything else, and you will see in just a second how. So now what we want to do is go through all of these projects. Basically those are just simple strings, 1 and 2 in our case, they will be. So we're just going to go projects dot for each. We're going to have a Firebase project, so project. And right over here, we want to grab the specific Google Service Info plist file for the specific project name. So let's create a resource that will be basically the name, like Google Service Info. So info plist file base name, and then the actual project dot name. So this in our case will be Google Service Info 1 and Google Service Info 2. Okay, so this is our resource. Now let's grab the path. Let path to those Service Info plist files. Path that is inside the bundle, so bundle.main.path. And we are going to use the one for resource of type, because this is of type plist. So I'm just going to add the resource right over there of type plist. Okay, that is the path. And now we want to create some Firebase options with this path. We already have the name. Next, we need to create our options. And it might be optional, so we want to guard against that. So guard let options equals Firebase options. There we go. And I'm going to choose the one with contents of file. You can have the Google APIs, but we already have this plist file, so this is the one to choose. So contents of file, and you just add the path over there, and I'm just going to bang it out because otherwise, if this doesn't exist, then we should definitely crash the app. Assert, and we are going to set this to false, and the message couldn't load config file, and let's add the resource name, for example, so the resource. Okay, so yeah, maybe just add in here .plist. Okay, if we have those options, now we can configure our Firebase app for this particular uh, Google Service info plist file. And because this is inside of for each, as you might tell already, we may configure multiple of them. So we're just going to say Firebase app dot configure, and we're going to use the one that I told you, the name and the options. Now the name here comes from the project.name, that is 1, 2 in this case, and the options, we just created those options. And that's it. Now we are going to set them up. Let's go to our app delegate. And how can we set them up? Well, yeah, let's just create an extension on the Firebase project, and let's have a static let of let's say 1. That is a Firebase project with the name of 1, and make sure that the 1 is with capital O in this case. It matches exactly the same as we had it in the info playlist file, otherwise it would not find it. And let's duplicate this, and let's make this 2, come on, 2 right over there. Okay, and now we can just say configure and use the one with the projects or projects info playlist file base name. Of course, in my case, the base name is the same. So I'm just going to go with the projects and add .1 and then .2. Really nice. It's typo proof and also looks really, really nice. Okay. So next up is that we want to use these apps that we created inside our application when we are calling upon Firestore, or when we are calling upon the authentication service, the auth, or storage, or functions. And for that, again, I'm going to create a new helper function on the Firebase app. So static func app. We want to actually grab the correct app. We configured 2 of them, but now we want to grab the one that we want to use and therefore access its Firestore database. So app named, and this will be a string, again, 1 and 2 in my case, and this will return a Firebase app. There we go. It's a Firebase app. Again, we want to guard let unwrap this because it might throw an error, so it might crash. Guard let app equals Firebase app dot app with a name, not the named. This is what we created right now, the one with name, and just pass along named else. And again, we are going to assert condition false and message. Could not retrieve app, and let's add also the app name over there, named. There we go. And after we got our app, we just return it. Return app. We are going to use this app with our Firestore, in our case, in our Firestore like declaration. Remember right over here, we just said firestore.firestore. Well, let me just comment this out and let's take a look at this Firestore. You see, there's one with app database. Now this is in preview with the one with the database, but now we are going to use the one with the app. So let me just move this back so we don't have any warnings. We are going to use this, but I don't want to make this really, really hard because now we want to create the app, but we already have it. Let's create some extensions. Well, actually just one, but you could create more maybe on the auth part or the storage part. Let's create an extension on the Firestore, and you can do the same for all the other products from Firebase. So let's create the extension. Well, the extension should be outside of the Firebase app extension. So extension Firestore, and this will be just a static function of Firestore. And I'm just going to add in the app name. Remember, this is holding the 1 and 2. So this is Firestore app, Firestore project name, sorry. Project, yes. Well, this should not be app name, this should be project. There we go. Firestore with the project and Firebase project. And then we are going to return a Firestore. And this is really straightforward. You saw that already. So we just go firestore.firestore, and let's just use the one with the app. And we are going to go Firebase app, the one that we previously created, dot app named, and the name comes from the projects dot name. Now, I could have gone ahead and used, instead of the Firebase project, string values, but this is so powerful. This is typo proof, and it's really, really nice. And believe it or not, this is all to it. Now, how could we actually use this one? So let's go back to the content view. I'm going to comment this out because this is, you know, the standard default usage. Let's just go try and then Firestore, and now let's use the one with the project that we have created. And then you just go dot, and you have 1 or 2. Remember, these are the ones that you have set up as an extension for the Firebase project right over here. Firebase project 1 and 2, really, really nice. So let's go all the way back, 1 dot, and everything else stays the same. So you see, we just added a dot 1 for the Firestore implementation, which is really, really nice. So also while we are here, let's just create another button, save to 2, and maybe let's just have this save to 1 and save to 1. Let me just copy that out and paste it in there, and let's just have save to 2 real quickly, save to 2. Okay, and now we are going to say 2 right over here under its Firestore project name. So it's really, really powerful and easy to use, as you can see. Okay, so and yeah, I'm just going to remove this part because that's just for the example for how we would do it in a default environment. Now you will actually not use this. You will not be able to use this. It will crash actually because it cannot find the Google service -info plist file. Okay, so let's build and run. Again, the project from the simulator has been removed. It has been deleted, and now we can start off from scratch. Let me just see what we have right over here. So we are on project 2. Yeah, let's just start off by saving some stuff to project 2. So save to 2, and just click on that. Of course, you do need to refresh the browser. I just see that. Items, really nice. We have a new value added. Let's do another one. So save to 2. As you can see, it automatically added in there. Now, let's go back to our other projects. So multiple Firebase projects. This is the one, you know, the one with the 1, basically. Okay, we already have 1 item. That's fine. That's from the previous version, but that's okay. Now, let's add another one. So save to 1. And there it is. And we have this 4MQ. So if we just double check, we did not put that into the other Firebase project. So let's see, 4MQ, nothing to see right over here. So now they are storing these items in different Firebase projects Cloud Firestore databases, which is amazing. And you can do the same for authentication, storage, functions, all of the products that a project might have, which is really, really wonderful. Also, as a side note, you can just, you can just change also the project if you choose to, like you have another bundle identifier right over here. But that's a little bit more advanced. This is really straightforward, good for this tutorial. If you like my teaching style and you want to learn Swift UI or Swift iOS development in general, go ahead and check out rebeloper.com/mentoring.